Hi, welcome to the Bell Hartman Mine. This is the mine building. It wasn't a mill, but it does house a compressor. It's a Ingersoll Rand from around 1900, which is also when the mine was opened or worked. The two gentlemen that started it were Mr. Bell and Mr. Hartman, henceforth why it gets the name. This building is rather special because it's the last building in this condition that was a mine building in the Angeles National Forest. There is still the Bighorn Mine, and that's about 10 miles that direction. But the mill building on that is in complete ruins, completely graffitied, just completely damaged, and soon to fall off the mountain. This building as well it's suffering a little bit of foundation problems. The Angeles National Forest, or the San Gabriel Mountain Range for that matter, are some of the fastest eroding mountain ranges in the world. So all this decomposing granite here is slowly washing away, leaving the building floating. It's a neat little building. It's 2 stories. The eaves there have been torn off because the wind comes rushing up this canyon here from down below and just catches them, rips them clean off. That's why I chose to leave those off the building so far. Here's a better look inside. It seems like somebody tried to burn out the building at one time, for this whole section here is pretty badly charred all the way up to the roof. I stabilized it with a little bit of plywood. Isn't what would have been here, but it's it's better than nothing, and at least it'll hold the corrugated tin siding on the building, keep it from falling off, keep the rain out, and thus keep it from getting its foundation washed out. The lumber in this building, the original lumber, is, I believe, from this area. Trees that were chopped down here. On some of them, you could still see bits and pieces of bark on them. Let's see if I can get one. There's one right over there near that some sort of container. The mine's been here for about 100 years, and incredibly, there's really no graffiti. There's no, I mean, people have taken anything that's small enough to easily walk off with, but for the most part, as you can see, there's a large number of artifacts still remaining. A little camping stove. There are the remains of what I'm pretty sure is a Model T. The block and all the pistons and the crank are down in the gorge below. They've since fallen down. But these things right here, these would have been the engine covers for it was probably a truck, Model T truck. Yeah, lots of bits and pieces. There's a head gasket here, a bunch of pipe fittings, miscellaneous belts for the compressor here. There's a seal for an oil drum. The compressor is really neat because it's on, it's fully metal wheels. If you look at it's a similar compressor, an Ingersoll Rand from about the turn of the century, up in Mammoth Consolidated Mining Company. It's very similar. It's also a 2-cylinder, but the wheels are wooden spoke wheels with rubber tires on them, good Goodyear tires. So that makes this a very interesting specimen. It looks like it's a 4-cylinder, or it might be an 8-cylinder. Let's see. No, it's a 4-cylinder. You can see the valves there, or the bottom of the valves. This cover has been, somebody walked off with the cover here. Modified fuel tank here. As you can tell from the round straps and the holders below, this probably would have had a large oil drum. This tank here was likely out of the Model T, because this is an automotive tank, something that would have been underneath a seat. The air reservoir here is, all riveted. These are the same kind of rivets that you'd find on the air reservoir over at the Bighorn Mine. It's got a tank just like this and similar rivets on it. The compressor is a 2-cylinder. Somebody jacked the connecting rod for that one piston there. The other one still has its connecting rod. That would be the intake there, and then it would run over to the compressed air tank. It's got a clutch that connects it to the engine. And yeah, that's just how it runs. Would be valves in the top, check valves to make sure that the air is flowing one way and into the tank. The chassis for this, the two axles here, if you look at them closely, you can see hammer marks. It's likely that this was probably put together by blacksmith for the frame. Let me get a closer shot here. Yeah, a lot of tool marks and hammer marks from that. This probably would have had a not an aluminum, but a brass radiator with very fine fins. It would have been in sections that were held on by these bolts here. It's likely getting it here, or maybe while it was here they got damaged, and rather than have a leaking radiator, they just used galvanized pipe to run across. And up here where there's plenty of cool air, and if it had the fan and the shroud, which is back over on the side there, if it had the shroud on it, it would probably get plenty of airflow to keep the engine cool. There's another look at the Ingersoll Rand. It's a fairly large building. It's about, if I had to guess, 10.5 feet by maybe 15 feet. It's got an interesting system of rain gutters. I've yet to figure out why they're set up this way. There's some along the side here. There's another one down there. And one of them that actually runs into the building right here. Perhaps water was scarce and they were trying to collect all that they could. But if you look at the roof, the eaves, the rain gutter's not at the eaves, so they wouldn't have been catching water very well. This is the second floor here. It's in pretty good shape. The floor's all here and the joists seem to be holding quite well. I had a couple of friends up here last time I was out and held us just fine. If you look at the rafters here, you'll notice that a lot of them have very few knots and they have a very tight, fine grain. It's what we call old growth lumber. It's fantastic stuff. It takes the trees hundreds of years to grow to get this nice tight grain. Back in the 1900s, it was in abundance, so they used it as building material. Nowadays, this is furniture grade stuff. It's old growth fir. There's a little door in the back here. I have nailed this shut. Unfortunately, it's falling apart so badly that the wind keeps catching it, blowing it open, and it's destroying itself against the side of the building. So hopefully nailing it shut will keep it from tearing itself apart. Also, nice old growth. The door here, this was likely off-site because it's got some nice mortar and tenon joints on the bottom there. So this was probably brought up and then modified on the top section there. On this end, I've recently made repairs to this. That's why there's that new piece of pine and these broken off pieces of plywood. I'm lacking a saw, and all I have with me is a hammer and a container of galvanized nails. So, worked with what I had. This section of the roof from about here on back was gone on both sides, And all of these pieces right along here were also missing when I arrived. But those are back on. I put a good number of nails in it, so I doubt they'll be flying off anytime soon. This is another interesting thing here. It's a little bit of electrical wire. It looks like it's, come on, focus. Well, it looks like it's aluminum. It may have been coated with silver for better conductivity. The rubber on it is very hard, and that's why it's all cracked. It would have been cotton wrapped as well, although perhaps mice ate the cotton off of it. All the windows here used to have actual windows with hinges, but the windows have since been shattered, and then the glazing fell apart and along with the windows, so they're all just openings right now. The view is fantastic out here. You can see for miles, and it's nice and quiet too. There was a water tower where I'm currently pointing. You could see one of the footings down there for it. The Abandoned Mines of Los Angeles County website, the writer there, he mentioned that when he came, and that was probably about 10 years ago, the water tower had fallen over on his trip. So that's nothing new. You could see bits and pieces of it down there. That boiler, or it was probably a air reservoir, which they cut open. Looks like they were using it for water storage as well. There's the muffler for the compressor. And down this this gorge here, this small valley, there's what appears to be the body of what I think is the Model H or Model T truck. It's pretty badly banged up, and it's in rough shape. There's also another engine higher up. It's a inline 8-cylinder. Not sure what it's off of. Definitely out of a car, but I'm just not sure what the car is. Yeah. There is a working hatch here, or trap door, for the ladder below. So what I'm guessing is this upper area up here was either sleeping quarters or storage. I don't think they use this as a regular living area just because the ceiling is so short. But if you were to sleep up here, maybe have a little bit of supplies, there was likely another building. The topographic maps, or the Chileo, probably mispronouncing that, the topographic map for that shows that there was an actual mine shaft farther up, right above the 2, or Angeles Crest Highway. When this mine was started, the Angeles Crest Highway was nothing more than a dirt wagon road. So when they went through and built the Angeles Crest Highway in the 30s, they probably filled in that mine shaft because there's no sign of it anymore. Somebody left a beer here, old Corona. Interesting mold growth in there. A lot of strange colors. It looked like somebody was trying to use this place as a hideout or a bug out shelter. There's little cords of wood, which I used for bracing the structure a bit more, and lots of containers of water as well. But aside from maybe 20 or 30 people, I don't think anyone's been out here to the mine. It's fairly remote. It's only a quarter of a mile off the highway, but it's a bushwhacking cliff, very steep terrain, quarter of a mile. If you look that vertical there. The highway is up and over that hill up there, and it's a long way down. And this is the rain gutter that's, I think it's since been pulled up here. It was probably down like that more. But since it's not on the ends of the eaves, I don't know how much water they would have been catching through that. Maybe they had some sort of special system set up. There's the remnants of the windows. All the glass and everything is gone. The windows were probably built off-site as well. You could see mortise here for dowels. So they're fairly nice windows. They had actual molding on them. The building, not the building, but the trim and the windowsills were painted white at one time. There's a little bit of remnants on some of them, although 100 years will pretty quickly take that off. The mine itself is over here. There would have been a, well, this area would have been flat when the mine was being worked. All this has since been washed out. It's a rather short little adit. Goes back for about 60 feet. The strange part is they were able to get a pretty nice compressor up here, or a fairly large compressor, probably brought up by mule or horse. And they also got all the tin and wood and doors up here as well. But inside the mine, instead of using actual light gauge rail, I don't have my flashlight with me, they used wood. And, well, you can kind of see it there. And these U-channel, they either cut off or bent it, and they put it right along the edge here for an ore car. Oh, there's a little, looks like a hummingbird. It looks like somebody's been in here recently. They lifted the tracks out. Just a short little adit. I can see the end over there, although it's probably not coming out real well in the video. Anyways, that's the Bell Hartman Mine in the Angeles National Forest.